Half of Americans don't have $1,000 to their name, and 43% say they would take on debt to pay for an emergency. We live and work in the richest nation humanity has ever seen, with a collective credit card debt of over $1 trillion and a household debt of over $18 trillion. America's bottom 99% hold just 16.7% of the nation's wealth, roughly $4 trillion. While the 400 wealthiest people in the U.S. made $1 trillion in 2024 alone, something isn't adding up. The Unemployable Life Podcast is for the working class underdog. We dissect the American work culture and tear it apart limb from limb in order to mold it in the employee's favor. The Employable Life's ethos is one of individual enrichment and professional discovery, recognizing the need for work while leaving convention in the past. We will inspire you to choose life over work. Refusing to subject ourselves to the indignity of customer and employer abuse, we are the many pushing back against the few. We are stewards for employee empowerment and employer maturity, helping workers to choose themselves and employers to foster a culture that enables them to do so. No more unneeded overtime. No more yes men. No more work over family. To be unemployable is to have agency, to be undeniable on the job, and to be more than your career. It is to push back against the machine, hold the elite accountable, and be true to yourself and your cause in everything you do. Here is an uncomfortable fact for you business owners. We don't work for you. We work for ourselves. We work for our ability to pay the bills, feed our families, and live a good life. Whatever benefit you reap from our work is nothing more than a side effect of the societal mandate of employment. Simply put, we are sick of the disrespect in our paychecks. We will improve worker-employer relations, and we will return the American dream to its rightful owners. We are unemployable.
Right? Like, he's just always a real estate agent at all times, but he was just like, so therefore you have to adopt that philosophy, even though it's making $21,000 a year.
Sweat equity is what I call that.
And he's sending me to Walmart to get Mother's Day cards. I've got to drop him off at the airport. I was like, I am not your personal assistant. And he was like, I don't get it. You're on my time anyway. No, sir.
I was working at this really fancy hotel. It was over like 22 acres. Like, it was so fancy that our bellhops were quite literally not allowed to drive luggage between the cabanas. You actually had to bike them there or carry them, because we wanted to set a certain precedent that, we were basically slave labor. And this was one of my final management jobs that pushed me over the edge into doing a new career. But he had one of those glass window offices. You'd be like, okay, it's like a semi-soundproof office, neat. Well, I had hired someone that I had worked with before. First week, he had a couple fumble moments, but whatever, we're getting through it. The guests love him. The dude's great with him. But the boss only sees failure. So he pulls me into this room and is like, Colin, we need to talk. Your friend is not cutting it. And I was like, well, boss, it's been a week. It takes about 30 days to get used to something. It's a new role for him, and we've got him training with people. I'm watching over him. I'm on every shift he's on. He's going to do great, just be patient. He's like, no, you need to go fucking tell him that we're turning him into a bellhop and he's getting a pay decrease effective immediately. Cue the most intense shouting match I've ever been in my life. We get to the tail end of it, and basically I'm like, you know what? You want to do this so fucking bad? You go tell him yourself. And I open the door, walk out, and they're like, you realize we heard every single word of that, right? I'm like, no. It's soundproof. And they're like, no, guest heard you guys in the lobby. My only option is to strut out of here and pretend that I knew that all along.
I had met a vendor in Vegas. So we go to Orlando, go there for another trade show, and meeting with him to sign the deal. This was it. Everybody signed off. We're good to go. He just needed to sign. Well, he proceeds to get annihilated, blackout drunk. And he's like, oh, let's just go to this one more bar and we'll meet tomorrow. And he walks in, I'm not kidding you. So the bar's set up, it's like a loungy type area. They have couches and coffee tables. This dude goes Supermaning over the couch, across the table, knocks all of the glasses off, breaks like vases that are like sitting on the shelf on the wall, jumps up and lands in people's laps. This is the co-founder of a multi-million-dollar company that I just sold the owners of the company I was working for on. And it's like, they're going to be the ones to do it. I was like, oh shit. He was so hungover the next day. He couldn't meet to sign anything. He couldn't meet to do anything. And it was like 3 days before I heard back from him.
You know, I actually had a supervisor, but he would just like vanish, dude, for like an hour at a time. He'd just be out in his car smoking and jerking off, literally, not joking.
Oh, no.
And dude, it took 2 years for us to be taken seriously on night shift before they finally installed cameras. And that was like,
I
I was like,
wasn't
I've been
making up.
doing his fucking job for the last 2 years, not him. And they fired him because the superintendent came in at 3 a.m. He's obviously checking on what old boy was doing. He came into the supervisor's office where he was sitting instead of out on the floor fabricating. And he was watching WWE highlights. And he couldn't close the tab fast enough. Like the computer just froze. It was one of those moments that he just got up and he walked out of the office.
Perfect.
Didn't say a word.
Dear corporate America, we accept the fact that we spent years grinding away in toxic workplaces, the long hours, low pay, and underwhelming benefits, but we think it's absurd that you expect us to stay quiet and grateful for the burnout, the shareholder commitments, and the endless layoffs. You see us how you want to see us, in the simplest terms and the most convenient labels, but what we've realized is that each one of us is all of those things, and more. We are tired, we are fed up, and we are ready to flip the script on work. Does that answer your question? Sincerely yours, the Unemployables.